ADHD Babes, the podcast, a podcast hosted by the ADHD Babes community for the community. Please note, nothing mentioned during the podcast is meant as a diagnosis. If you believe you have ADHD, please seek professional advice and visit or join ADHDbabes.com for help with diagnosis. No clinical diagnosis is required to join. And now, you're listening to the next episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast. Thanks to everyone who has joined us by listening so far. Don't forget to follow so you never miss an episode, and also rate, review and share so others can find us too. Today's episode is hosted by me, Julez, and
by me, Anna. And today we get into something a bit different and very fun. We're talking travel babes, and specifically solo travel with ADHD, the dreaming, the booking, the packing drama, the airport, the actual holiday, and the come down when you get home, all of it.
We're going to be touching on what it's like to travel with other people too, because we know that it comes with its own set of, let's call it, adventures.
So joining us for this conversation, we have two ADHD babes who know a thing or two about getting on a plane and figuring it all out. Welcome, Viv and Niquelle. So you babes are no strangers to the podcast, but so that our listeners can get to know a bit better, please introduce yourself and let us know your dream destination and whether you do it solo or bring someone along.
Hi, I'm Niquelle first. I'm an artist, educator and producer. I would say a dream destination at present, top of my list. I would love to go to Ethiopia. Just kind of an ancient civilization, kind of understanding our uncolonial existence, I'm really keen on that. And I love the food from East Africa, particularly like injera-based food. So that's top of my list right now for a dream solo trip. And I think I would do it solo. Yeah. I think I'd find some locals and I know I'd like make friends with peoples and find the family there and invest. So yeah, I would prefer to do that on my own.
Amazing. How about you, Viv?
Hey, I'm Viv or Vivienne. I'm a creative and social entrepreneur and psychology practitioner. And I think I'm a bit split because it's either Kenya or Brazil. And I guess the answer depends on the time of year. So I'm like, yeah, a bit of both. And to be honest, I think with either, I would prefer to go solo and maybe meet people out there. Similar to Niquelle, like just catch a vibe, just let the wind just take me wherever. And then if friends want to come, maybe meet me like a weekend. So I've already had some time to explore myself.
I love that. So actually, we might as well answer the questions ourselves. So Anna, what about you? Your dream destination, and would you go solo or travel with others?
Yeah, so my dream destination has got to be Zanzibar. A place that I would love to go solo. Yeah, definitely. I would like to go solo. I do a lot of traveling with my family, my children, husband, friends, everyone. So, I think it's one of the things I wanted to discover on my own. So definitely, Zanzibar.
I love that. For myself, my dream destination. So I think I kind of like echo what Viv has said, and I've already been to Brazil, but and I went on my own. But I think if I wanted to go somewhere else, my dream destination after Brazil would probably be this is so hard. Kind of want to go to Japan.
Oh yeah.
But I would love to go with my siblings, particularly my brother, because my brother is very much kind of like into that. And he went Japan last year. So I think those kind of like places would suit going with someone, if that makes sense, even though he went by himself last year. But because he'll kind of take me to the right places. So that will kind of like be, because I haven't been to kind of like East Asia or South Asia. So I really want to go kind of like to those sides. So yeah, I love everyone's answers. So
Hannah's lit. I feel like
yeah,
you'd enjoy it.
yeah. One day it's on my list. Don't know
It's
what
loading.
year. Don't know what is happening. So today's episode is for every ADHDer who's ever booked a holiday at 2 a.m., forgotten to pack underwear, panicked to the airport, and then had the time of their lives. This one is for you because we've all been there. I'm not going to lie. So let's start from the very beginning, before the trip. And for a lot of us, the trip starts long before you're at the airport. It starts with the idea. So the 2 a.m. scroll, you're in bed, you're on your phone, you see a reel of someone in Bali or at Lisbon or in Marrakesh, and something in your brain goes, I need to be there immediately.
Yeah, and before you know it, you've got like 47 tabs open. You've checked your Skyscanner, Google Flights, different, 3 different hotels. You've done the comparison site. You've joined a Facebook group for solo travelers, in a particular country that you want to go to, and you've already mentally packed. It's 3:30 a.m. and you've booked it. And the next morning you wake up like, did I do that? Have either of you have done impulse booking, or impulse booked a trip? What happened? Did you regret it? Or was it like the best decision that you've ever made?
I don't know. I'm trying to think if they've been, I would say maybe a couple have been impulsive, but I have thought about them beforehand. So I think the actual buying was the impulsive part in terms of like, I didn't take that long to book it or to like look at different options. But as a general rule of thumb, I have never regretted booking a flight to anywhere. In fact, the only flight the only flight I've regretted booking is the ones to come back to the UK.
The
So
return.
it's the return that I regret. So yeah, I think, yeah, I feel like there's been a couple where I haven't fully thought it out for sure. So I know when I bought a one-way ticket to Thailand and then it got to
Whoa.
like the 28-day limit where it's like, okay, you actually need to leave now or you're breaking the law. And I was like, oh, where should I go? And I kept meeting people that was like, oh, Vietnam is so nice. Da, da, da. So I was like, oh, okay, let's go to Vietnam. Why not? So that was a bit impulsive just based on like meeting 3 people that said it was nice. But yeah, again, I feel like, yeah, I've never booked a flight and regretted it. And actually it feels quite freeing. And it's one of the impulsive decisions that feel quite like, sometimes I feel like you can think yourself out of an adventure, but doing it impulsively is like, oh, I'm here now, money spent, let's get cracking. So yeah, it feels good.
Amazing. How about yourself, Niquelle?
Yeah, when you said the impulse, I'm quite a planner in like my general like year planning and stuff like that. So I used to be in school, so we have quite rigid windows of holiday. But
Yeah,
once I was able to kind of get out of that system, I did find booking outside of those windows the freedom that came
amazing.
with. But also when
Absolutely
I
amazing.
left uni, I also traveled. I had been in 17 years of straight education and then was like, I'm not going back into education. I'm not going straight into work. I want to just travel. So I think I've had a lot of like what I call surrender trips or like relief trips, which have been from me just really being like tired or fatigued or for whatever routine, and then just been like, I must go somewhere. So that
Yeah,
9 months post uni, like I went to so many countries back to back because I was just like exploring and kind of off the same like things I had thought about before and just hadn't acted upon or didn't have space for before, or just somebody recommended like a dance class in like I remember Rotterdam, especially a dance class in Rotterdam, and I was like, well, I guess I got to go to Amsterdam then, and like did a whole Netherlands situation, and ended up in the carnival there. Like it was just a bit of a domino, but they were all things that I'd thought about before, but then timing just allowed for me to do them all back to back. So yeah, I have a lot of relief trips.
amazing. Amazing.
And how about you, Anna? Like, have you ever like taken any sort of like impulse trip or booked one?
I think I most of my holidays are impulse, to be honest, because
I love that vibe.
It is because so the whole reason behind it is because I'm married, I've got kids, and my husband doesn't like me traveling solo. So I never tell him. So I kind of like think about it. I'm like, I need to travel,
Easy
and I
solution.
go, yeah, and then I just search, I do my search on that particular moment, and then I book it. And then because obviously I don't have the finances to like book the whole trip, I pay installment. And then when it's like a week to go, I tell my husband, "Oh, by the way, I'm going on a holiday next week." So there's no, and he's not like obviously moaning about it and complaining about like, "Oh, there's nothing you can do. I need a break." That's that. So yeah, it's a huge problem for me. It's a massive problem because I'm very impulsive in a lot of areas of my life. Everything I do on an impulse. So imagine like buying a very expensive holiday. Yes, I've been in a lot of trouble for that.
I think booking a holiday, I feel like those are things that I feel like you're allowed to be impulsive on. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
everyone else feels the same way because
absolutely.
this country cannot come and kill you. Let me fly out
Yeah,
Right.
and go relax.
yeah,
So sometimes,
yeah,
like, do you know what? Like, I think one thing on the top of my list when it comes to like spending a bit of money on is traveling and kind of having your own peace of mind and like
yeah,
being able to rest. Some people might not rest on holiday. Some people are like, no, I've got to do all these different things. And obviously we'll get into that
yeah,
at some point throughout the episode. But when I think of like, have I ever impulsed kind of like booked a trip? So an example, normally I wouldn't. I'm similar to Niquelle. I plan down to the T of how much is that hotel going to cost? How much is the flight going to cost? Everything down to a T. I have Google documents, listing stuff.
yeah,
I am sort of that kind of person. But one trip that it's not happened yet, but it's coming up. I really wanted to see Yeba. And so she's back,
wow,
she's come back and stuff like that. And I wanted to see her in the UK and tickets sold out
Mm.
at Coco. And I was in the pre-booking section. And then by the time I got to the section where I wanted to book, sold out. I said, how, this is impossible.
Mm-mm.
So I said, oh, what am I going to do? So I started looking at Paris. I was like, maybe I should just get out of the country and just go see her.
I
Next
love
thing I know,
Paris.
I've basically booked my concert ticket in Brussels. I've never been to Brussels in my life. I have not booked a hotel. I have not booked the flight.
Oh wow.
I've just booked to go and see her.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things where I've just kind of been like, yeah, at some point, like, if I can't see my faves in this country, I can always just go out into Europe. And I guess that's the luxury
Facts.
a little bit
Yeah,
of being on this small island, but being able to connect to like Europe countries if you can't get a ticket to see your favorite artist. And even then, I managed to save a whole £30 because I spent €30 just getting the concert ticket. And in the
Mm.
UK, even before kind of like booking, £70 for a ticket, a concert ticket. I
yeah,
said,
Mm.
yeah, Ticketmaster,
yeah,
your days, count your fucking days. So yeah,
Wicked.
what I also think is quite interesting about ADHD and kind of like booking trips is that it goes one of two ways. So like we mentioned, you either impulse book in 20 minutes and you sort out the details later, or you go like full hyper focus. So research
yeah,
mode, you spend 3
Mm.
weeks comparing every airline, every hotel, every neighborhood, reading like 200 reviews. Let me tell you, I'm a review babe. I'm reading
yeah,
the reviews.
Mm-hmm.
End up watching walking tours on like YouTube, TikTok, and then you become like overwhelmed, too
mm,
overwhelmed to like book anything at all. And I guess like
yeah,
with the research rabbit hole, it can become so real. And you start looking up the best times to visit Portugal because then you're thinking about, oh yeah, when is the best time when there's not too many people, when the kids are not on holiday. You start thinking of all of these stuff. And then for 4 hours later, you're just reading about the history of like Portuguese tiles. And you're just like, how did that? But it's a good thing because then if somebody asks you about Portuguese tiles, you know about that shit because you've been doing your
yeah,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in the end, you still haven't booked the flight. And the crazy thing is that 2/3 of diagnosed respondents, according to Monzo and YouGov survey, said ADHD makes managing finances more difficult, with 58%
Yeah.
attributing that to impulse purchase. So, question for you, Niquelle. Are you an impulse booker? I think we kind of touched on it already, but are you an impulse booker or a research spiraler, or does it just kind of depend on the trip?
Guess I'm both. I don't know if I'd see them so opposite to each other because I think I do both things. I think I don't get all the nitty gritty of research done. So like I wouldn't look up exact monuments and routes and all of those bits. Absolutely not. Like I love to be the wanderer in awe and just absorbing when I'm in a new space, which is so weird because in the UK I'm not that. Like I'm city mapper in everything, even in London. But I like to be able to kind of just take in randomness there. But I think on the booking side, when it comes to like if I was really burnt out and I just need a break, I'm not looking for like the most extravagant of trips. I just know I need the sea and I need the sun and I need to go. So I will literally type in, I've gone on like Skyscanner, I'm typed in London to anywhere before and just seen what comes up and then looked at those places and looked at that comparison, but not looked at where I'm staying, none of those details, and just booked based on that. But it's usually there's some sort of urgency in my life that requires it to be like more imposed.
Yeah.
But hotels and all of those routes are usually the last parts of the trip. Once I book the flight, then I'm committed. And that is usually quite a like quick decision.
That, but that's what that counts. So when you book the flight, you're just like, we're good to go. It's happening. How about yourself, Viv? Are you kind of like an impulse booker or a research spiraler?
Yeah, I think I'm a bit similar to Niquelle. There are times, especially if it's planned. So like I took a year off from my full-time job at the NHS and I knew I wanted to spend that year traveling and I had a list of places. So with that, because I knew exactly where I wanted to go, trying to find the best deals or what would be the best time. So trying to put it in order of when I wanted to do each one. So there was lots of planning around that. But similarly, the only thing I really minded is like, okay, yeah, where am I landing? And where am I going to stay the first night or the first couple nights? And then after that, it's definitely just like I'll see how I feel. And like, yeah, that's been great. Because it's like, I feel like, especially in London, because it's so busy, like you're always thinking about something. Like
Yeah.
you want to meet up with a friend, they're like, right, cool, I'm available in the next 14 working days. And you're like, well, I'm free in the next 18 working days, so maybe we can look at the next. So it's like everything is just so structured and organized and
Yeah.
just like rigid, even enjoyment. So there's something really freeing about, yeah, cool, I'm just gonna book the flight, know that it's between this date, or no, it starts here, and then leave the rest up for chance. So yeah, I would say definitely in terms of trying to get the best deal, because I'm a Nigerian babe and I love to save money and I love a little deal.
Period.
Yes,
But
please.
besides that, I'm like, yeah, let's that's part of the joy of it, like not knowing.
Yeah.
Although I might just have one or two things that I'm like, I definitely want to do this. Like in Thailand, I was like, I definitely want to go to a specific Buddhist monastery. And other than that, I was just like, whatever happens, happens.
Amazing. That's brilliant. I mean, can I just like also say that I do a lot of solo traveling with work as well. And so I sometimes tend to stay like an extra night or whatever. So then I can like uh go and do some sightseeing or things like that. So that's another thing. It's not really impulsive, but I guess that I get to go places sometimes that I've never been to before.
Mm-hmm.
Although there's some planning, there's an anticipate there's planning into it, but there's like an anticipation of what is it really like when you get there, sort of thing. And also when you get to the airport, like who's gonna pick me up? How am I gonna get there? How's the hotel? How are people at the hotel? How are they gonna perceive me as a black woman? It's another thing to think about when we travel a lot. So that's where kind of like fits in with the next bit, which is to talk about the practical side of booking. So there's stuff here that a lot of people don't really know about. When you're booking flights, especially as someone with an invisible disability, there are accessibility options that are available to us or to you. And knowing about them in advance makes a massive difference. So for example, a lot of airlines will let you select your seat for free if you have a disability or a medical condition. That also includes ADHD and anxiety. So you don't always need to have a formal diagnosis or a letter. Sometimes it's simple as calling the airline. They have like an accessibility team and you can explain your needs to them. Obviously, some airlines also offer wheelchair assistance at the airport, which isn't only for physical disabilities, and that's one thing that I discovered just recently. So I always used to see like people in the there's also like there's little cars, accessibility cars at the airport. I always thought you had to have a physical disability in order to use them, but not necessarily, which is quite useful to me and my children. So if you struggle with navigating large, overstimulating spaces like airports, you can request this wheelchair or the assistance to get you through security and to your gate. It takes a huge amount of pressure off you, and it's worth checking out what airline offers these options because it varies as well. So some do offer it, some don't. Some are really good and brilliant, others are less good, less brilliant. But the point is, these services actually do exist and you are allowed to use them. So, have either of you used accessibility services when booking or flying? And what was that like? What was your experience of it if you have used it?
I've used it. I've only used it. I think I've used it twice now, and it was like within the last 4 months actually. So I'm like, oh gosh, if only I'd known all these years, like all the suffering I've been suffering. Because I've got dyslexia and dyspraxia as well. So the lead up to getting to the airport is already stressful. Like I've missed flights before, I've forgotten passports, I've forgotten suitcases. Like the whole getting there is already stressful. So yeah, I wish I'd known earlier that that was an option. For me, I found it helpful. I did it through British Airways, and yeah, it's just nice because it's a separate line, so you don't have to go through the whole like zigzag trying to get your steps up unprovoked part. You can go, yeah, you go straight through. They check you in. They ask you if you would like someone to walk you to your gate. And funny enough, like as I was approaching, especially the last time I went, I was already on the ropes. I was like, I could go home. Just give me one more reason and I'll leave this suitcase here and go home. But like by the time I got there and they were super nice, checked everything was all right, and they offered the walk to the gate, and I was like, you know what? I actually feel better now. And despite like getting lost and going to the wrong terminal, I was still early. So I was like, I'm actually gonna walk slowly, and even if I get lost, I'm not gonna be that late. And if I am, then I can go to a member of staff and say that I'm running late. I've got the assisted thing. Can I get support? So I actually went by myself and just walked around and got a bit lost on the way there. So yeah, I think even just the knowing that it's there as an option made the process feel softer and like less like, oh my God, I'm on my own and I don't know what I'm doing type of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would definitely recommend to just check it out and see.
It's interesting. Now that I'm thinking about it, I have had like a assisted fast track that happened. And this at the time I didn't actually know I had ADHD. This is almost a decade ago. I was going to Morocco for my 22nd birthday. 3 friends were coming with me, and I woke up late, very late, because I left packing to the last minute and said, I'm gonna have a nap, and the nap turned into a sleep. So by the time I woke up, it was like I have 2 hours to get on the plane.
Oof.
And
Oh,
did it to the airport, got to that airport and was like, I'd already had the digital boarding thing, and then told them basically, this is my flight. They were like, fine, we can fast track you. You got to pay, I think it was like £15. I was like, God, get me through that. Literally running through the airport. And I remember a person seeing how like flustered I was. And you know, the little thing that the little driving cart thing that
yeah.
a guy offered to give that assistance because he could see I was really overwhelmed. And actually, I think that was the first time I'd known that I'd had and obviously, yes, the scenario set up more anxiety, but just the like navigating airports are just so like the unnatural light, the overstimulating sounds. It's like very sterile, but in a way that is disorienting. You can't really tell what time of day it is. Like it's a lot for my brain. And that day especially, it felt harsher. So after that, actually, I've really, well, since I've definitely known I've been diagnosed as well, I've been looking at ways that I can kind of calm in the space of like chaos, and prayer rooms are always now like a need for any spaces. So actually now, even though I'm not going there to necessarily have spiritual practice, the first thing I do when I get to the airport is go to a prayer room,
I
and
love
that
that.
it just helps me ground, and then I go, and like then I can do the whole luggage, gates, property, going through all of that, because also there's like of going through the whole airport situation with me. I've had like a trauma attached to the airports also, but it's like, yeah, just coming in and being in a space of quiet, and also seeing people coming in to like center themselves in faith, and there's something really quite serene about that for me that then helps me really just before I start. Yeah, so that's where I'm at so far.
I love that. We will touch on kind of like having sort of like quiet spaces, sensory spaces, and using the prayer room is actually one that I never sort of like thought of.
Well,
Um,
that.
yeah. And similar to you, Viv, I only sort of like recently found out about like the accessibility services that a lot of airlines like provide. And I remember it was when I was going to Canada. This was like a few Christmases ago, but I left it last minute, so they weren't able to accommodate. But I knew that this time around, when I was going to Brazil, especially going on my own, because when I was going to Canada, I was with my sister, so it was a little bit more like. At one point, my sister had to tell me, "Jules, relax," because at one point I was getting vexed at the thing. But because again, the sort of like the overwhelming feeling, traveling in itself is stressful. And I'm one of those people where I don't intend to overpack, but in my head, I'm like, I need this shit. This has to come with me. It has to come with me. Funny
Needs to be
enough, when it
prepared.
gets there with me, I don't use it. But that's another thing in itself. But I end up overpacking. And so that when you get to the airport, the anxiety when you then put the suitcase on the weighing machine, you're just like, please,
Yeah.
please, let it just be 23 kg and I can just go through. And sometimes when it's not, and they're looking at you like, so it's over. And you're like,
Yes.
I'm not going to lie to you. I just pay. Because I just can't
Offers.
bring myself to the embarrassment of opening my suitcase and pulling shit out and then putting stuff in different. You know, when you're just like, you know, when people say, do you not have shame? I'm one of those people where I just like, I do. And I'd rather not. I just like, how much is it, please? I'll pay, you know, but having those accessibility sort of services has really, really helped. Particularly, I know that when I've spoken like with Air France, when I was going on my trip by myself to Brazil, as soon as I got to the thing, the guy was like, oh, we've seen here that, do you want a wheelchair? And I was like, as much as like, thank you very much, I don't think I need it. I think I'm okay. Bearing in mind, I arrived at the airport 2-3 hours earlier than I need to do. So I didn't have to like go through panic. But also getting to the other side where I had to kind of like do, what is it? What do they call it? Where you have to change over? Oh,
Transfer.
Transit.
transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember kind of getting off and there was a wheelchair. They have wheelchairs at you when you need to come off to then take
Never end.
I was just like, oh, I don't need this. So, because I feel like I can walk faster than this person that's going to then wheelchair me along. And they're probably, and maybe my bias is that I still have this sort of ableist mindset because the natural reaction, people see that if you look physically able, there's this notion of like, but why are you in a wheelchair or why are you getting this sort of like thing? And maybe that's a mindset that I need to change. But I remember like kind of feeling like I don't need the wheelchair. Maybe there were times where I probably didn't need it because after a
Yeah.
while, kind of like rushing, but having those sort of like accessibility sort of like services really does help. And I guess I kind of want to kind of like like transition onto something that's a little bit more fun and a little bit more different. Because of course we have a lot to talk about when it comes to like pre-holiday rituals as an ADHDer, as we do. So this section is called a fire round question section of questions. So you just need to answer yes or no, no explanation. No, I know us ADHDers, we like to explain. We're not going to explain. It's just yes or no.
Okay.
So first question
Pressure.
is, do you pack your entire wardrobe or constantly forget an item or two? So it's one or the
forget an
other.
item
Can't
or
yes or
two.
no answer that, but
Okay.
whole wardrobe.
Okay. You, Viv?
Constantly forget an item or two.
Anna?
Whole wardrobe, definitely whole wardrobe. But I
Me
still
too.
do forget one
No
thing or two.
explanation. No
I
explanation.
still forget.
I knew one would do it.
I love that. Okay.
Myself, whole wardrobe for me. Next question. Do you pack a day before you're traveling or slowly weeks before you travel?
Day
Viv?
On the
before
day. On the night, in fact.
the day sometimes.
Niquelle,
No, slowly weeks before I travel.
I
weeks
wish I was
before I
like that.
travel.
Oh,
Mm.
Okay, next question. This one's going to be interesting. Have you forgotten your passport?
No, I've never forgotten my passport.
It's a safe space.
I'm trying to think, but I feel like I've left the house and then come back.
exactly.
But I've not got
Right.
to like the airport. But I've definitely like got in an Uber before and been like, "Ah," or got on the train and been like, oh no, it's not in the bag, and come back. Like I have
Wow.
left without it and forgotten it because I overthought it. And then I overthought
I'm
it to
thinking I was like,
put
yeah.
it in a safe space, and then I forgot where that safe space was and I left it.
Okay, I'm taking it as a yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Viv? Viv, you still contemplating? I'm taking it as a yes. Okay. Anna, you?
No, never. I've never forgotten my passport.
Me?
It's the
Absolutely
first
not.
thing I pack.
Fair. And the final
Fair.
question of the fire round. Do you arrive at the airport just in time or 4 to 6 hours before your flight?
4 to 6 hours for sure.
Yeah, 4
I
to
will
6
never
hours
miss a
as
flight
well.
again.
I've never missed a flight.
No, I've missed one before, so I've been burnt. So now I'd rather sit there and sleep. Give me that 4 hours. Yeah.
What about you, Niquelle?
Depends on the country.
Niquelle's like, bags.
country.
If you see me,
No,
you see
because
me.
like some passport control is like you're at the door when you enter the airport, and it's
Mm,
literally you can see your plane from the door.
yeah, that's true.
Okay.
What am I doing sitting there for 5 hours? Like
Yeah, that's true.
I could be in sun still. But
Mm,
if it's like long, big international airports, okay, I'll get there 3 hours before.
Okay.
Mm.
I hear that. I'm 4 to 6 hours. Yeah.
Yes, definitely 4 to 6 hours. Yeah, I can't. Even if I have to sit there and have breakfast or dinner or whatever, fall
Mm.
asleep, read a book. I have a pillow with me all the time and a blanket. Like it's yeah. No. I would be devastated. Absolutely
I also think it's an
devastated.
opportunity
Word.
to calm nerves, because I know that, I don't know for you guys, I think with ADHD, anxiety and everything just thrown in, and just the overstimulation of like flying or just getting to the airport and just like doing all the stuff, being able to have a moment to just reset helps so much
Yeah.
just before you get on the plane, because some people, I'm not necessarily like afraid of flying, but the chaos then begins when you're then trying to get on the plane where everybody, even though we're all got assigned seats, everyone
Yeah.
wants to now be in the front of the line. And it's like,
Fighting.
you know, we're all
Fine.
getting on the plane. We're getting on this plane, you know. We're all getting on
Listen,
there.
at that point, that's when I'm sitting still. Everyone can queue. Go on queue. We're getting on the same plane. It's okay.
You're not going to steal my
Okay.
seat.
And even if we do, we're tussling, bruv, because
Yeah.
one thing about me, I'm calling that air hostess, Miss Ma'am, this
Excuse
person's in
me.
my seat.
My number.
Tell this person to move.
I picked the window seat for a reason.
Yeah, true. That's true. Well, super interesting answers from all of us, which leads into the pre-trip anxiety. Something that doesn't get talked about enough, because from the outside, it looks like excitement, but inside it can feel like dread. And for ADHD, that anxiety can ramp up in the days before the trip to the point where you almost don't want to go. So do either of you get pre-trip anxiety? What does it look like for you and how do you manage it?
Mm, do you know what? I don't think I generally get pre-flight anxiety. I think sometimes I get freaked out by the idea of being in the sky. I think that's like my main. I'm like, how are we sitting in the sky? Like, so that genuinely throws me off. Like when I'm like sitting in the airport for too long and I'm like looking at them take off, I'm like, rah, science is crazy. That is probably the main like anxiety provoking thing. But besides that, I actually feel okay in the lead up. I think the only time I've ever felt a bit weird, and it was actually just one time. I think it was when I landed in Thailand and the route the driver was taking me was different to what my sat nav was saying. And I just had a moment of realizing like I'm actually in a random country. I
Yeah.
don't speak the language. I'm by
Yeah.
myself. This guy could be taking me anywhere. And like that drive was the longest drive of my life. Besides that, I'm actually cool. Like I genuinely just feel excited to get out of Babylon for a brief period.
Very that.
How about you, Niquelle?
I think I do get quite anxious before a trip, but not necessarily for like flying, but the like packing gives me massive anxiety, and it's because and I pack my whole wardrobe because I don't want to not have what I need when I go to another place, and because I am quite free in the other place where I'm going and don't have a set structured itinerary. I want to pack for any eventuality. So like I have to bring like me good dress, me dress for the freedom, the beach, you know, like every version of trip
I'm here for the
like
good
is
dress.
coming, you know. So I end up overpacking for most trips and then have that anxiety of like, okay, what if it's overweight? What's my like get out plan for that? Which I found so many hacks for, by the way. Buy a duty-free bottle of water and you can put something in your bag and then carry through your extra weight. Because I had to do it before. But then
Smart.
like I think for the like actual traveling and commuting, like airports that have multiple terminals, who designed that deserves absolutely their cold side of the pillow to never exist during summer. Because what? Like, why make an airport where there's totally different buildings and train stops? Because one, like, I have gone to wrong terminals before, or they've changed
Yeah.
the terminal, and it was in a last minute email that,
Minute.
yeah, we're meant to just scan that the night before. Like, those kinds of things, I'm constantly like checking the week before, the week towards. I've also traveled during like storm periods, which I'm actually about to do this year as well. So when it's hurricane season, like, you know, sometimes your flight could just be delayed by a day or 12 hours and you're in an airport in a random connecting. So those kinds of things of like the uncertainties that will then domino into things you booked. So like if I have to transfer from the airport to my hotel booked and now I'm delayed by 12 hours, they're like, okay, how do I fix this somewhere else that I have no bearings in and understanding of their like systems, ecology, timings? Like, can I arrive at 3 a.m. in a random country as a woman who's also brown that probably doesn't speak the language? Like there's a lot of those bits that I'm always thinking through quite ahead. And that makes me quite anxious. But once I'm on that plane, I'm fine. But it's the like what ifs that are out of my control before I go there that usually makes me think like, oh my God. Yes.
Amazing. Amazing.
How about you, Anna?
I am anxious for everything and anything, this whole thing. So like packing, it gives me anxiety. I'm thinking about what car or what way to travel to the airport. Am I going to be there on time? And when I get to the airport, am I going to get through to security on time? I'm always thinking about worst case scenarios. I always keep my luggage with me. I don't want nobody put no drugs on my bag. Like, I'm anxious about everything, everything. I mean, I think that the only moment that I actually relax for a for a few hours or whatever is when I'm sitting on the plane. When I'm sat on the plane, I'm like, cool, it's done. I can relax. And when I get to the other side, it's making sure that I grab the right transport. I'm going to the right place. When I get to the place that I'm gonna like it, that I get a good service, that I get a good room. So, but yeah, the whole get rid of anxiety all the way through.
Mm.
Yeah, I think similar to you, Anna and Niquelle. Yeah. I think I already kind of like explained the mere fact that packing what feels like my whole flat in general, and then getting there and then being told that you're overweight. I can't bring myself to just unpack stuff. And then, even kind of like doing the whole transfer thing. So I know now I prefer getting the direct flight, because I think that once you kind of like land, it feels like the anxiety the pre-anxiety comes back again, trying to navigate, get into your next terminal in a completely different country that has the language that is spoken is very different. So you're then trying to keep an
Yeah.
ear out, and what is the logistics of getting in different places. And I learned the hard way in Paris, in France, where I wanted to tussle with this guy in security, bruv. We won't go into that one, but let's just say I don't understand. The French people do it different. No, sorry if there's French people listening, but y'all people in your airport do it very different. I guess you can kind of fly into, no pun intended, airport experiences. The
Yeah.
airports, like we've mentioned, are sensory assault courses. The lighting, the noise, the crowds, the announcements, the cues, the screens with ever-changing information. And I guess for someone with ADHD, it can go from being manageable to completely being overwhelming in kind of like 5 minutes. And there's the decision making: which queue am I in? Am I in the right queue? Is this
Yeah.
where I'm supposed to be? Do I take my laptop out? Where is my boarding pass? Wait, is this my gate? Is it this way? Is it that way? And let me tell you, I have walked in opposite directions 3 or 4 times thinking I've been going the right way. So I've been there, and sometimes you just kind of feel like everyone around you seems to know what they're doing. But the reality is that you're not the only person that's lost. Everyone is just
Yeah.
there for vibes, doing the same thing, because everyone's pretending
Yeah.
like they know where they're going and they don't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just going to add that little bit that I sometimes have to take tablets to be a bit more calm, because I tend to find there's a lot of triggers, and I tend to get very overwhelmed, and then sort of start to pick up like little fights with people as well.
Not
So if
tussling
I'm a
with
bit,
people at the airport.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, why is this person pushing in front of me? Oh, and just little things like that. Like, I guess I see everything. My eyes are everyone. I can see everything, and it's like, I've recently, like in the last couple of years, I started to take diazepam to calm me down, to calm my nerves, when I'm flying. So just wanted to add that there as well. Um,
No, that's
it's
fair.
overwhelming.
No, it really is.
But there are things airports and airlines offer that can make this valuable support is important. Firstly, the sunflower lanyard scheme. If you're not familiar, you can pick up a sunflower lanyard at most UK airports. It's a green lanyard with sunflowers on it, and it discreetly signals to airport staff that you have a hidden disability and that you might need extra time, patience, or support. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to disclose your diagnosis. The lanyard does the talking. And there's over 225 people who travel dogs spanning every continent have been recorded on the Sunflower Travel Map. So there's a lot of people who use it. With nearly 170 airports worldwide officially supporting the scheme.
And most
Mm.
airports offer priority boarding for passengers with disability or additional needs, which we of course mentioned at the top. Again, this includes invisible disabilities, so you can arrange for this when you book or by calling the airline's accessibility line. It means you're able to get on the plane first, find your seat without the crush, and settle before it gets noisy and chaotic. And some airports also offer, which Niquelle mentioned in the beginning, quiet rooms or sensory spaces, talking about prayer rooms as well. So it's worth checking that out. before you travel whether your airport has one, because if you are feeling overwhelmed before your flight, having somewhere calm to sit can be a lifesaver. So, question, Niquelle, what has been your experience with airports?
I would say definitely before even leaving your home, all websites for the airport should have like a air map, like a bird's eye view map of the layout. I find it really helpful to have like visual anchors when I'm trying to travel to places. So even when I'm like traveling around London, I have like look out for this church or look out for this shop. So in the airport, if I know you've seen the, I don't know, whatever shop it is, there's always a JD. I've gone too far. Like, so I know, ooh, if I've passed this, I'm in the wrong place. So that kind of helps me to have a general sense of the space. Also, they on most websites, they will give you like alerts. You can sign up to their alert system if there's any like last minute changes and stuff. So it saves me having to like go and scroll and find it, where they would literally just send that information to you, and you can even get it as like a text update. I found that's taken a lot of like cognitive load off of my side to kind of stress about the thing. If I don't get a text and I know everything's okay, and that kind of alleviates a lot. And they usually give quite a bit more notice than before it goes on the website, because someone has to then put it on the website. So it's quite instant. Weighing and packing, started vacuum packing stuff. And oh my God, you save so much space. Yes, it still has weight, but because you've compressed your clothing, you can stop creasing. So hello, ironing, yay. But also like it just is quite fun. You don't have to do it with a Hoover either if you don't have one. There's like these little syringe type gun things that you can have, like can compress, and you can get way more clothes in and get that done a lot quicker. And then the hack with the duty-free bags, if you are overweight and don't want to pay that excess money, because I don't believe in ADHD taxing. Absolutely not. It's not my fault. This is a habit of me wanting to make sure I'm covered. Buy something at the airport, you can carry that through. So put your heaviest items on and like wear those, have a change of clothes to whatever the climate you're going to in your bag. I always travel with like an emergency outfit in the event my checked-in baggage goes walkies. Have a spare underwear, sock, bra, all of the things, because I know we dress like in our PJs basically to fly, but tomorrow you're getting off the plane and they say, your bag, what are you going to do? So I always try and have like a decent clothing that I could like tuck a sock, wear a sensible shoe. What else do I do? Oh yeah, and then in the actual airport, because I absolutely hate the super stimulatingness, on the way there, I always have a pair of headphones so that I can kind of just be in my own world, in my own vibe, music wise, and that kind of just helps bring the anxiety down. Once I get to the airport, it tends to be actually now that prayer rooms are those sensory rooms, because just cost effectiveness, they've doubled it up. So I tend to be in those prayer rooms, touching all the different textures and doing all the things, which they're probably thinking, what's this girl doing? But like, it's helping me calm down. So I don't care. Don't look at me like that. So I definitely spend some time in there. The first 10 minutes of me getting to the airport, I just land and allow myself time to land. You can also check when you put your stuff in the trays and stuff, because I have a trauma attached to Gatwick Airport, especially attached to that, where somebody left an item and it caused me to be arrested in an airport, which was wild, because at the time didn't know I had an attention deficit, didn't see their object and picked it up with my stuff. So that was wild. Obviously it ended up a long experience that after traveling was very hard for afterwards, but it was the wildest experience. But knowing that came from a lack of somebody else not doing their job and seeing the thing, and that became my tray, and then I became penalized for that. That was a big whoa, what's going on here?
That's crazy.
So that was a lot to do with airports. So for me now, even with that experience that I've had, the see-through bags, you don't have to get it from the airport. You can literally have any see-through anything for yourself. Do that in your yard. And it doesn't actually matter what size it is either if you bring it from your house. So I just, it doesn't have to be that silly little. So you can pack anything you need as long as the liquid content is still the 100 milliliters.
So it's actually changed.
Luggage anymore.
Now.
Great news! You don't have to take it out of your hand luggage anymore.
Fantastic.
Airports, Heathrow airports, you can keep it all in your bag. You don't have to use a clear carrier bag. You can stay in your hand luggage. However, This is where I had a
No.
tussling match with France because France ain't changed that shit. So if you're doing a transfer to another country,
Yeah, they might
the
still be
law
using
doesn't
it.
apply.
Yeah,
UK,
it's
it's
changed.
changed. You don't have to take out anything. You don't have to take out your laptop. At one time, I was like taking it out. The guy was like, "No, you don't have to take it out." I was like, "Oh, great."
Oh, that's
Back
good.
in.
But
So
yeah,
yeah,
so that hack, because I'm not sure on the rules on the other side, I try and still do the see-through bag thing and pre-pack all my stuff, which means I don't have to like deal with the emptying, opening situation. And that has definitely
Yeah.
helped like bring me back to, okay, I know what's in my stuff, what's not my stuff, and I feel safer and more like contained in my own energy. A note to calm and regulate are like sensory fidgets, etc. Sometimes those toys have random things inside them, some of them, like the beans squishy jelly things, and it scans weirdly on the other end when it goes through the machine. So sometimes they don't know what it is because it's not quite liquid, it's not quite solid. They're like these jelly things. So just the alert, like a heads up if you do have any fidgets that are like those like liquid jelly filled things, sometimes that comes up and your bag is going to go to the other we need to open up
Okay,
side.
cool.
So
That's
any
a
of those that are like
nice to
super
know.
dense or super jelly, that might flag.
So interesting.
how about you, Viv?
Yeah, that was so interesting. I'm still like, I'm so sorry that happened to you, Niquelle. Yeah, I'm so glad that you were able to process through it and reclaim traveling.
Yeah.
Fire for
Horrible.
whoever left that thing in that container. Yeah, honestly,
Hearing
fire
that.
for them. In terms of hacks for me, I've found packing cubes really helpful. So like literally, yeah, like little bags that you put the clothes in it and then put the bag of clothes into the suitcase. So I've got like a packing cube that's got all my shorts in it, one that's got all the tops in it, one that's got all the bikinis. So then when I get there and I'm looking for stuff, then I'm like, okay, I'll just go to the shorts cube. Okay, I'll just go to the tops cube. And it just makes my life so much easier. And I'm not like
Yeah.
looking for things. And then the suitcase doesn't become like, it doesn't turn into an internal circus. So yeah, that's helpful. And also it helps me pack because I'm always packing last minute. But then when I'm like, okay, well, the shorts cube is finished. So that means I must have enough shorts. So that also just makes me feel like I've got enough stuff. Also, I had the difficulty of
Yeah.
always being over. So I've bought one of them mini home weigher things where like it's not a proper weight, but it's one of them ones where you just lift up the suitcase and then it will tell you how much it weighs based on like how you're holding it. So that's helped me a lot where I'm like, okay, I'm just 3 over.
Can
I
get
can
away
just
with that.
smile and like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. Yeah. More time. I think I've only not got away with it once, which I was like 6 over. So I was like, fair enough. But yeah, more time people are calm. I've always got like a little, like a bum bag type thing. And then that's like my essentials. So yeah, I always make sure my passport's in a zipped thing in there. My phone, I've always got something like tissues, hand wipes, anti-bac, lip cream, hand cream, because we don't like dry hands. And then, yeah, like something sensory. So even like a little piece of lavender, like those roll-on, essential oil type things. So similarly, like if I'm getting overwhelmed, which especially that thing where you're going through with the what are they called? Where they have to scan it through and you have to put it in the grey boxes.
Yeah.
That process is just over here, please. Like, can it just calm down?
As well.
Doing it all
Yeah.
day. For me, I'm like, are you people not tired? And you're shouting all day like this. Me, he's been here for 10 minutes. I'm tired of your shouting. You're not tired of your own shouting.
They just need to stand
no.
straight behind somebody else, like you're their friend and you want to cuddle. That person needs oxygen, please.
There's enough space for us all. Let's go back to COVID times of arm distance. Gosh. So that thing there, every time I'm here, I'm just rolling on my finger, just breathing and come like, you people will not send me home. I've made it this far. You're not going to send me home now. So yeah, always having like some type of essential oil thing. I always get to the airport 3 hours earlier. It's now a running joke in my family. I'm like, okay, you guys are laughing, but have I missed a flight since? No, I haven't. So, and also times when they've also forgotten things, or like one time one of my family members didn't do their visa, because we were 3 hours early, I was able to quickly sort it out while we was there. I said, if we didn't get here 3 hours earlier, could we have done it? So 3 hours earlier. So even if I'm very early and everything is seamless, I've got an hour and a half to meander, to get lost, to go and look at things I'm never going to buy, to go and, go and eat chips. not going to buy those things. But yeah, so I actually find it as part of the fun of like, in the best case scenario, I've got extra time to just do nothing and explore and start the adventure from now. Worst case scenario, I get there on time and then I just get straight on the plane. So yeah, that 3 hour buffer just makes me less stressed and makes space for the times when I've gone to the wrong terminal, or yeah, I've forgotten something and had to go home or whatever it is. Yeah, I think those are my main hacks. Oh yeah, and also like bringing, similar to Niquelle, either bringing my loops and my headphones or one or the other. And I do go to the prayer room and I meditate so that I like give myself a moment to come into my body before going back into
Amazing.
the chaos that is the
Amazing.
airport.
How about you, Jules?
Yeah.
Cool. I think everyone's kind of like mentioned sort of like hacks. I think one that has really worked for me as well, and obviously again, it depends on budget, if you can budget for it. I know for me, I don't do well, and I live like in London, so trying to get to airports that is like Heathrow, Gatwick or whatever, and then anticipating waiting, getting an Uber, that just gives me anxiety depending on what time your flight is. So I've booked a hotel the night before within kind of like the airport.
Yeah.
So that gives me sort of kind of like
Yeah.
calmness of like, I just need to walk through a tunnel to get to the airport. And I've pretty much booked it the same time as when I've booked my flight. So knowing that actually this is where I'm flying this at the time, I'll book the airport as well. So it tends to be
Yeah.
cheaper. So it's like a nice little holiday. What is it? Premier Inn or something like that. Spend the night and then keep it moving and whatever. So those things have really helped with being less stressful. And then, taking like calming tablets has helped. Also something else, compression socks, as well, because as well, kind of like getting on a plane. No, once I get in my window seat, because of my ADHD, and if there's people sitting
And
next
I
to
don't
me,
know,
I get so like anxious to ask them, excuse me, because then you're like, people are looking at you like to say like you're not allowed to release yourself. But they're like, oh, it's not. So so I'll
Or I
just
go
sit
when
there.
they
But
go.
yeah, exactly. When it's like, it feels like they're all gone, then I'm like, oh yeah, everyone's like got up. Let me go and enter the queue. But compression socks help in the sense that, if you can't move around or walk up and down, it kind of like allows for the blood flow whilst you're sitting down as well. So I've had compression socks, and then also sometimes when the blanket is not great, I always, because I get cold very easily, so I pack a hoodie as well. And shout out to one thing, packing an
Yes.
extra outfit on your hand luggage. Absolutely 100% recommend, because some of these airlines, one day you'll get to your destination and be like, oops, so
Yeah.
your checked in luggage is still in the UK, and we don't know when it's coming.
Or they've broken it and bust it open because they just dashed the things down the corridor.
Like to say that you don't need to get to your destination. So yeah, no, I absolutely 100% recommend. I even packed an outfit or two, some knickers, everything, because what? I'm still going to go enjoy my holiday. So yeah, I definitely recommend. So everything that everyone has mentioned is pretty much some of the things I would say are pre-boarding rituals for sure.
One of the things that I do. The other things is I take screenshots of everything and keep it in one place. So if, for example, I need to access it really, really quickly, then I know it's all there. So I could just show the person or whoever's asking for whatever document at that time. Okay, so you've landed, whether it's a beach destination trip, a cultural, enriching, or just a quick getaway, you're there. The holiday has started, and this is where it gets interesting for solo ADHDers. Because solo travel with ADHD is this beautiful, messy contradiction. On one hand, you have complete freedom, and on the other, it means that no one else is on your schedule. You can do exactly what you want, when you want to do it. And that's incredible for an ADHD brain. But on the other hand, you have complete freedom, no structure, and ding, 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 no one to keep you accountable. You suddenly standing in the middle of a city you don't actually know, overstimulated, overwhelmed, and you can't decide whether to go left or to go right. So you just stand there. The ADHD freeze in a foreign country is a specific experience. What's the hardest part of being on holiday solo with ADHD? Is it the overwhelm, decision making fatigue, or something else? Niquelle.
It is so funny because I was just thinking to myself, have I been on holiday since I've known I've had it? And I've only been to one place, and that's Lisbon. And that was last April. But I think what was really nice about knowing at that point was in the process of unmasking, you start realizing how sensitive you are to things. And I think it gave me grace on some of the things that I previously had found quite overwhelming. So, like all the decision fatigue and kind of having to, I kind of felt like there was a lot less pressure to have structure in the trip, a lot less pressure to know, it gave a level of ease in my tendency to want to like know. Even though I am quite comfortable in like just going with it and going with the wind while I'm in another place. But I do definitely think the overwhelm was reduced once I was aware because I then became more compassionate toward myself. So yeah, but I would definitely say navigation is still a thing. So once I like get through the country, some countries are really against like things like Uber because it's like it is here, like super not equitable and not really the greatest thing for equity in terms of the capital of the country and stuff like that. So like I don't want to be the tourist that offends and causes internal conflict. So those politics sometimes I'm like more cautious of, and that is the thing. But I don't think that's necessarily ADHD linked. I think definitely the like geographical understanding and being lost comes with a alertness that I'm now aware is like, okay, she's just a babe that will wander and happy in that chaos, but also like give
Absolutely.
myself grace when I am
How
lost and
about
just
you,
laugh it
Viv?
off more. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Niquelle. I think, especially when I started solo traveling, I think after getting more in touch with my ADHD, like post ADHD babes, there was more of like an understanding of that getting lost, forgetting things, losing things. If I'm honest, solo traveling actually for me not hides my ADHD. It means that my ADHD doesn't impact me as much, because the things where my ADHD impacts me is when there's like set structures or set expectations, or somebody else sets the process and I have to up to that. Whereas when it's solo traveling, I get to decide everything. So I can't be late for myself. And even if I am, it's like I can just change it. So I think the most difficult thing for me really is that thing of cool. Like I have one example in mind when I was in Japan and I was like, oh, I want to go on the ferry today. Because there's this island called Nora where there's deers that walk around and they let you feed them and pet them. So I was like, yeah, cool. That's what I want to do today. And then I just didn't plan my time well. I left late. I got lost. I was going in the wrong direction. When I finally went in the right direction, they were like, actually, you're at the wrong ferry. I'm like, okay. I should have checked that the ferry I was going to was where I was trying to go. Fine, let's go to the next one. Finally made it to the next one. And then I saw the last ferry like floating away as I got there. And I just stood there as I floated away. I just wanted,
No.
why so good to just fall down my eyes.
Yeah.
Then I looked to the right and there was a man sitting by the water, like painting some of the ducks. And then like the sun was out. And I looked to the left and there was like an ice cream stand and there was a bunch of children there with like, looked like their like grandparents. I was like, what am I crying? You're actually standing in
Yeah.
Japan. What's actually doing you? Go and find something else to do. So I just went and found something else to do. And then I went and did the ferry the
Yeah.
next day, knowing now where it was, knowing now that I'm not going to get lost. So like there are those moments where it's like, oh, like you really have a plan and you want to just make it work. But I think, yeah, the compassion, like Niquelle was saying, I was like, oh, it's okay. And often I just ask myself, is it that deep? Like, it's not like I've missed my flight home. And even if I miss my flight home, is it that deep? So yeah, like those are stressful, but I think the response of compassion of like, no, but sometimes you're going to get that with your brain in the same way that you're going to get the amazing fun parts that even got you here in the first
Yeah.
place. So there's like
Amazing.
yeah,
I think
it
for
feels
me,
okay.
the hardest thing is food and finding a place to eat. Like what? And then is it going to be nice? Am I going to like it? I'm a very, very, very picky eater. So I tend to at the beginning sort of go to restaurants that I'm very familiar with, like McDonald's. I know it's a shame, really shameful. Yeah,
I can't lie though. Trying it in different countries feels kind of fun. Like you get to
like yeah,
compare.
McDonald's everywhere are very different. And then yeah, and then I kind of like will meet someone there and ask her like, so what's the best places to go to eat? Like, you know, I'll go to a few places first and then ask recommendations from the local rather than from apps or whatever, and then look it up. But to
Mm.
me, the hardest bit is food, is finding a good place to eat. And I do get overwhelmed when I
Mm.
jump into taxis or Ubers or any mode of transport. I sometimes don't know, is it cash? Do I have to buy a traveling card or something like that? So that's quite overwhelming as well for me. But yeah, I think those are probably the only ones I can think of for now, because I really, really like being by myself and making my own decisions, and not adhering to that sort of, I can get up at any time, eat whatever time I want to eat, can eat whatever I want to eat, and I'm in control of that. I can go to visit whatever I want to visit, which is quite nice. About Jules.
Then, so yeah, so that's interesting. Obviously talking about everything and kind of like doing a solo stuff, something else that kind of comes up with solo traveling is the emotional side. So loneliness, anxiety, wanting to go home on the first day and then having the best time by day 3, like
Mm.
making big plans in the morning and then abandoning them all by lunchtime because the vibe has changed or something, or wanting to do something of the opposite. I have been there. I have many a stories to tell, but also having no plans and then spiraling because you feel like you're wasting the trip. So, I guess we'll start off with you, Niquelle. Have you had moments on a solo trip where you felt anxious or lonely or both? And how did you kind of like manage to ride it out?
I think I stopped taking short trips because I hated the feeling of like feeling guilty for wasting the time that I had somewhere else because I realized I
Ah,
previously wasn't using my trips to also have rest. So I wanted to make sure that there was always room for rest built in. And
Mm.
now being aware that I get quite overstimulated by quite a lot. I need those down days and that room for like the rain days and the hammock days. So now, yeah, I can't really, unless it has like a specific purpose, like a retreat or a whatever that I'm going to. I can't go to somewhere for less than 2 weeks. I just need 2 weeks minimum to be able to have that space. But the loneliness, a lot of the times if I have long stays for like a month, I will usually embrace the cocoon on the side, like at me time in a way that is lonely, but not how I feel if there's isolation in the UK. Like it's a different kind of lonely when you're happy in your own contentness because you're just in a new space where you just don't know anyone, and there's novelty to that. So it still feels good. Where I think sometimes I don't want to be with strangers, so I'll be in another country and it is still this isolation feeling, but it isn't from like a negative. So I do feel loneliness, but I don't find that has a negative connotation to me when I'm abroad. But yeah, definitely the anxiety of like someone telling you, yeah, this is the road, and then they then put their hand out for money or something like that, and like those panic moments when you're like, oh, this could be dangerous, and those moments, like
Mm.
I've had so many of
yeah,
those scenarios happen, or like where you're racialized in a way and they like will shout a comment or say a thing and you're just like, if this wasn't here I would probably be offended, but you kind of have to just swallow that because the
yeah,
danger of being on your own is quite, you weigh up the pros and cons of speaking back or retaliating or whatever.
Mm.
So those moments I think at times are dangerous. But I always travel with like this doorstop and it has like a button attached to it. So wherever I stay, if they, even the person who owns the place, if they touch that doorstop, a really loud alarm will sound. So that kind of gives you an alert before. And there's also like a thing that you can put across the key latch of any door that you have and it kind of jams it. There's certain security things that I always travel with to kind of help those anxieties of like safety. But bar those kind of scenarios, I don't really tend to feel anxious, even if I am like in a completely lost scenario. I'm a bit
Yeah.
like, but not in a way that is to the
Yeah.
overstimulation. I'm just a bit like hyper vigilant
Very good.
in those moments. Yeah.
How about yourself, Viv?
Yeah, I think similar to Niquelle, I really enjoy being by myself for periods of time. Like, I'm naturally quite an introvert, but a lot of the work that I do is people focused. So I think that's one of the things I enjoy about solo travel, that I get an opportunity to just be by myself for a little bit. At the same time, I think I have, especially when I was traveling for months, there were moments where I was like this would have been nice to share with this friend, or like, oh, this friend really loves music. She would have loved this. So yeah, there were those moments. And there's also a weird feeling that I had of like, I'm experiencing this whole world and my world at home is still existing back there, and feeling a bit distant. Yeah, feeling a bit distant from that, where it's hard because it's like, yeah, people's lives still continue, but then like not hearing from someone for a week in London is very different to like not hearing from someone a week where you're like traveling in a different country, because like I want to connect more and like update, like, oh my God, this thing happened, da da da. But like time is bigger when away. So I think I definitely felt moments of distance more in that regard, where it's like, oh yeah, it would have been nice. But then similarly, you get up the next day and then you got a whole bag of things to do, and then yeah, like the experience just continues. So I leaned into that actually, and it made me just appreciate the people that I did miss, where it's like, oh yeah, there's a gap there because there's care there. And in terms of anxiety, yeah, I don't really get anxious when I'm solo traveling, because I feel like you can't get lost when you're wandering. Like, it's just, it is what it is. And whatever happens, you just, yeah, you're like I don't have set points of like, oh, I need to do this or I need to do that. More time is just experiencing it. So even if I'm not sure, I kind of just roll with it. I think the only times I feel anxious is, yeah, if I feel like an energy or a vibe where it's like, oh gosh, like, I haven't seen someone for a long time. Like, I've been walking on this road for a bit. Or yeah, like I said in that Uber where I was like, this is not the way my sat nav is saying, where is this man taking me? Like those types of moments is quite sombering, of like, I'm actually a single Black woman in another country and I don't speak the language and I don't know anybody here. Yeah. And I think especially with men, because there's been a couple times where it's like, okay, we're talking and we're calm. And then now it's not calm, and now you're doing a bit too much. And it's like, okay, the consequence of me being polite to you is now that you're doing too much. So there's that, where it's like, how polite can you be without them becoming a weirdo? Yeah. So there's been a couple times where like it's just been awkward, and it's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna pretend to go to the toilet. And there's times when it's been like, yeah, actually you're a bit,
It's too much.
yeah. So I think those are the only times. What a shame. Like, yeah, those are the only times
I hate
that I
that little
could.
nodding.
What a shame. What a
I
shame.
know.
But otherwise, yeah,
Amazing.
things are good.
Well, I
I would say.
think the thing about solo travel with ADHD is that it forces you to be with yourself. No one distracts you, no one to make decisions for you, and that can be uncomfortable. But it can also be deeply good, teaching us a lot about what is needed, what our limits are, and what one is capable of when we stop trying to do things the way everyone else does them. We've definitely touched on a lot, and I'm sure we can go on and on. But before we wrap up, let's quickly talk about post-holiday and also traveling with others. So the holiday's done, you're home, and this is the bit no one warns you about. The post-holiday crash, which can be super overwhelming. For neurotypical people, it's a bit of a mood dip. For ADHDers, it can feel like re-entering the atmosphere at high speed and hitting concrete. You've gone from novelty, freedom, and stimulation to coming back to the same flat, your same routine, your same responsibilities, and your brain, which was thriving on the newness, goes completely flat.
And then the admin hits. Ooh, the scary part. You've got to unpack, which we already know is an executive function nightmare. And then you've got to check your bank balance and face what you have spent. Oh God, I've been there. And then you've got to go back to work or whatever your daily life looks like. And your jet lagged, or at least your body clock is confused. So we're going to do another round of questions. Just again, just an answer, yes or no, or one or the other. No explanation. So are you unpacking immediately after your holiday, or is your suitcase sitting around for another week or two? Viv, let's go.
Now an unpacker.
Unpack as well.
I'm an unpacker.
Anna? My suitcase is sitting around for a week or two.
I've changed. This year I changed. Honestly, join us on
Show
this
me
side
out.
is
I'm
so
not
good.
gonna lie to you. You guys are showing me out.
No, join us. Jules, it's lit on this side. I'm
I
telling
can't with the
you.
guilt, man.
Never too
Next
late.
trip,
And on
next
top
trip.
of that, I try
Yeah.
to bring as
It's
many
never too
things
late.
clean. Yeah. I wash it there.
Mm.
Wash
That's
it
good to
there.
know. So next question. Are you going back to work the following day or reset and go back to work the following week?
Babylon, man. Next day.
Next day! Okay. Niquelle.
Reset. What? I can't do that to myself. Reset. They
No,
think
I don't.
They
I
think my
take
holidays till
about
the
if
till the
it,
next
I
day.
always come back like
Anna?
weekend, so I'll give myself like 2 or 3 days. Yeah, and then that's that. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Reset. Absolutely. So next question. Budget or deal with it after a trip? So are you budgeting or are you
Yes.
dealing with it after
Yeah.
your trip?
Yes. After the
I'll
trip.
deal with it after the trip, man.
Yeah.
I'll find the money later.
Me too. I'm
Are
finding the money later.
you?
Niquelle?
both.
Never think
I'm
about
both.
Okay.
I'm both. I usually use a travel wallet. So I'll
Right.
change my card to the currency of the country. So I can tap, 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 tap. But I only have a certain amount I've moved into that travel wallet.
Mm.
So if that stops, I know we've hit the limit. But of course, like, I leave room for the impulse buys or the like, this would look great on the whatever windowsill.
Mm.
And that I can then consequence for. But I'll give myself a travel wallet that is usually like with buffer. So if I've hit that limit, I already know, babe, we need to stop.
Fair. And final quick question. So pick one. Solo travel, couples trip, or big group trip? Niquelle.
Has to be solo for me.
Okay. Viv?
I haven't done a vacation yet.
I don't recommend.
Vacation can be kind of lit, you know.
I'm the opposite. Oh.
Is it?
Yeah,
you?
it's a miss for me, boy. And I've traveled with
Is
two
it?
different partners. Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on the
Sorry,
set.
go on, Viv.
Like the beach holiday and, you know, you do a little romantic. Do you know what? Let's say couples. I'm going to say couples. Because then you also get a solo time in between. Because
Yeah,
you do your
definitely
thing, I do
couple
my
trips
thing, and
for
then we
me.
link
Yeah,
up.
those have been the best.
Okay. Anna?
Yeah, as opposed to solo trips. Yeah, couple.
Okay. I'm a solo base. Maybe I haven't gone on the right couples trips yet. Who knows? But it's a solo thing for me. I'm not gonna lie. So that being said, traveling with others when you have ADHD can be really hard, especially if they are neurotypical, because your pace is different, your needs are different. You might struggle with sticking with a rigid itinerary. You might get overwhelmed in situations they find fine. And if it's family, then that's an added layer of old dynamics. Being told that you're being too difficult, being made to feel that your needs are an inconvenience, or having someone else to take over because they don't trust you to manage it or manage kind of like, the trip. So quickly, we'll start off with you, Niquelle. What has been your experience of traveling with neurotypical family and friends? What has worked and what hasn't?
Funny when you said this question, actually, I realized even though it's UK, I went to Scotland with my brother for the New Year, and I wouldn't say he's neurotypical. He thinks he is, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I think he's definitely like more neurotypical in his habits. He's also a Virgo. So he's very structured and very like tidy. He's always been that, and we've been very opposite in our way. Like I was the child eating the Play-Doh. He was like, oh, it's mixing colors, like opposite spectrum. So for that, I think that trip, one, I realized I left him responsible to book the coaches because he wanted to take a coach to the airport. I'd never done that before, and I was like, coach, what? And he booked the wrong date, which is part of why I'm like, baby, you're not neurotypical, stop this. Like, but it was also like the newness for both of us. We'd never been on a sibling holiday together, so there was like a lot of excitement around it. But I booked the wrong return flight, so there was like this shared like sibling thing going on. But what was also lovely about it was like going with my brother. Like we're a year and 3 months apart in age, so he's younger than me, but he's always felt like a big brother, and we're kind of like really close. So certain things like hiking up mountains, I get vertigo, and he was definitely teasing me, but because I know he genuinely was like, if I was about to slip down the mountain, he's got my back. Like those moments felt more fun to do with my sibling. But then little things like the tidiness of his anal folding of everything, even his bed sheet to the crisp. I'm like, go away. Like, you're not even in your house. Relax. He's just too pristine, and in a way that is just, I think, excessive, especially when you're not in your own like domain. Like you can chill a little bit on those structures. And I think that trip really made me aware of how much like so we're also different faiths. I'd say I'm spiritual, but he follows Islam. So he's really strict on his prayers, like to the point where he'll like pull out a prayer mat on a mountain if he wants to. And that also helps me to see like his routines and my routine differences, and how actually we've embedded structures to our lives to help ourselves with the things that we need to kind of ground and anchor ourselves to like survive this Babylon thing. And that had been a really beautiful thing, which in theory, like we knew these things about each other, but you don't get to see each other in that much detail until you go somewhere together. And it really made me have such a respect for his level of discipline. And in the same way, like he saw my concerted effort to like have a food routine, which is something I'm really embedding since knowing I have ADHD, and like how on it I am with those things and my stretching and all of these things. Like we know he knows I dance, but he's never seen those routines that I embed for my health. So it was a really beautiful seeing of each other as adults that we don't get sometimes as children. And I think I would love to like travel with my sister now and do those things now that she's older. So that's been really nice, but I do think it clashed in like rigidity and freedom desires at times. Yeah.
And how about yourself quickly, Viv, as well?
Yeah, I think for me, generally, I'm quite easygoing and laid back. So I'm actually like quite chilled to just go with the flow. If someone's like, I really want to do this, I'm like, yeah, sure. Unless I like have a dislike for the thing for a specific reason, like I'm just happy to be here, just happy to be outside. So like more time, I think I'm okay with group travel, whether it's friends or family. I'm like the first daughter for my mum. So like I'm the organizer and the one doing the driving, the one picking people up, like setting the times and things like that. So often I'm organizing those types of things. So that feels okay. I think the main thing, but mainly for like friends travel, is because I'm quite like laid back and go with the flowy, that sometimes that might not work for the group. If the group is like, we want to, do this at that time, or you're taking too long, like, why are you talking to this person for so long? It's like, oh no, but we just got into a really good conversation and da-da-da-da. It's like, no, but hurry up, we want to go home. It's like, oh, okay, sorry. So I think those types of contrasts can be difficult, where when it's solo travel, I can talk to who I want for however long I want to, and just go off on just go off feeling. But when you're in a group, you have to think about the group dynamic and everybody's needs, which like has its pros and has its cons. But I think generally with my neurodivergence, I'm okay with like giving myself what I need and like removing myself if I need to, having my headphones on if I need to. And yeah, most people around me understand that. So I would say, yeah, it's more that thing of a clash of like, I just want to float with the fairies, and sometimes that clashes with the wants of the group.
Well, we've delved into a lot and we don't want to leave hanging, but we want to share some practical tips, things that have helped all of us, and what we've picked up from other well-traveled ADHDers as well. So one of the things that I, for example, like to share like a trick that I've done in a trip before. And I think I've said it before actually, to take photos of important documents like passport, boarding pass, hotel booking confirmation, travel insurance, and then keep it in one album in your phone, so that when you get like panicky, it's all there. I also learned this from my husband. He actually prints everything, and we have like a printed folder of every single important, like every document we have. So we travel with a pot of copies in case we lose our passports and we've got a copy of a passport, we've not a passport number or whatever. What tricks or resources would you like to sort of share with our audience?
Yeah, no, I also would say the duplicate documents thing. So that I have on my notes app, there's a scanner function on that.
Yeah.
So I've in all my like critical things. You can get like this little secret pocket thing that you can strap. It's a really close bag to your body, so it's not like a handbag, and you can kind of put it underneath your clothes. I put any cash in those things. And then, yeah, I think also just a takeaway from today, I think I want to get a sunflower lanyard because I
Yeah.
realized it would just save a lot of
Yeah.
conversations that I think sometimes are made a lot more difficult for us in the airport.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, there's a lot less grace given in those like very shouty conversations. So, yeah, I think I'd like to add that to my hack list for sure.
And you, Viv?
I think hacks, things like checking in online so that when you get there, you have a bit less to do. Yeah, getting there with the aim of 3 hours earlier than boarding time, because it's not going to be 3 hours because life is going to happen. But then it just means that you're going to be late for being early, which I prefer to do that every single time. Yeah, sensory things, noise cancelling, things to smell, things to touch. Yeah, and I guess like maybe an internal resolve with traveling as well, because I think sometimes with all of the noise and the doings, like we can get swept up in it. So that internal resolve of like, I'm traveling for this reason, like I'm traveling to rest, or I'm traveling to explore the world, or I'm traveling to give myself a break, or whatever it is. So when things are like going haywire, or things go wrong, or they don't go to plan, it's like coming back to that resolve that like I'm here to do this, and am I still able to do that? Like, yeah, just having an internal reset and like an anchor within all of that, and finding pockets of like what can ground you. So yeah, for me it's meditation, but for somebody else it might be, yeah, whatever that is. So yeah, finding ways to incorporate that throughout your process.
Wonderful. I think my practical tip I would recommend is, and I think someone mentioned it briefly, is allowing for rest days when you're on trips, particularly long ones. So don't feel pressured to have to go on an excursion, go to this tour, go to that tour, go to this restaurant, go to that place. What I tend to do is I give myself slow ADHD days where it's okay, kind of just like, I want to chill and rot in a bed in the hotel
Yeah.
room. I can do that. I have the day planned to do that. So giving the opportunity to do that and not overwhelm ourselves with kind of like trying to do everything at once, because again, feeling overstimulated. So giving the opportunity to kind of like have a rest day if you're one of those people that is avid itinerary sort of person. So yeah. What a fun episode. I wish we could be here talking forever. I'm sure we had many a tales to discuss about all the various different places, but you know what? As per usual, we'll always have a part 2, 3, and 4 to come back to. But we want to say a massive thank you to Viv and Niquelle for joining us today. Thank you for being part of the conversation. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat about travel. Please let our listeners know where they can connect with you. So we'll start off with you, Viv.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, you can find me on socials. My personal socials is Vivienne Sings, or on LinkedIn it's Vivienne Isable, but you can also message me on the ADHD Babes Instagram and TikTok and all that jazz as well.
And you, Niquelle.
I'm Niquelle L on everything. That's NIQUELLE _L. Yeah, I'm open to messages, or you can go on my website and find me through there. But yeah,
Brilliant.
thank you
To
all
our
for having me.
listeners, if you find a sense of home here at ADHD Babes, consider supporting us. That could mean signing up as a member, donating, or even just sharing this podcast with your people. Every little help to keep us doing the work that we are currently doing.
And don't forget to join in on the conversation on our Discord or WhatsApp group for members. Also follow us on our socials. We have our own Insta page for the podcast, which is at ADHDbabes.pod, as well as ADHD Babes. Subscribe to our YouTube for the video version of this podcast. And most importantly, stay connected. We're building this together. And thank you for listening. And we will
Bye.
see you soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Book that flight.
That one.
Thanks for listening to this episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast. If you're a Black woman or non-binary person and needs help and support in managing your ADHD or advice on diagnosis, please visit ADHDbabes.com. No clinical diagnosis is required to join. Join us in 2 weeks for a new episode. Until then, all the love from the ADHD Babes team.
Just as I am, can you take me just as I am?